Spike Lee is one of those guys who can make great movies, like 25th Hour and Inside Man, and then make a bunch of movies that just aren't good. But people seem to like this one, so I was kinda cautiously optimistic. And I got a chance to see it for free, so hey, why not give it a shot? The movie's about the first black cop in Colorado Springs in the 70s, and as the title might suggest, he gets involved with the KKK. It's a pretty funny premise, and it's a pretty funny movie. The first 30 minutes or so are more or less hilarious. I appreciate that, because the movie deals with racism, and most movies take a more serious approach. And those movies tend to be kinda bummers. Good movies, a lot of them, but kinda bummers. And this isn't. It's a really fun movie. Until the end, but we'll get to that later. I gotta say, I haven't seen the main guy, John David Washington, in anything before, but he's fantastic. The whole cast is superb. They really bring their A game. Except maybe for Topher Grace. I'm on the fence with that guy. He doesn't seem to have much range. I mean, he works well enough, he just didn't seem as good as the rest of the cast. The guy playing Felix surprised me. He's a Finnish guy, and Finns are notoriously bad for trying to hide their accents. And I hadn't heard him speak English before, so I didn't know what to expect. But he played the intense, crazy guy very well. Doing an over-the-top southern thing is sort of forgiving, but still, he was good. The fat guy, Ivanhoe, he was fun. It bugged me the whole movie that I knew I recognized him, but couldn't place him. Turns out he was in I, Tonya last year, which was pretty decent, and he was one of the best parts of it. The story and the overall writing is really solid, no complaints there, except maybe the relationship stuff. That felt a bit shoehorned and not really necessary. The costumes and the set design is fantastic. One of the more convincing 70s looks I've seen. I love the look of this movie. And I guess that brings me to the less good parts. Spike Lee has a pretty distinct style, and I'm usually not a fan of it. He just tends to do a lot of strange stuff that doesn't really add to the experience. He seemed to rein it in a little bit for this one though, but it was still there, and it got a bit distracting at a couple of points. He just makes some odd artistic choices that I don't agree with. Like the scene with the old guy telling the story. Now, I didn't know who he was, but I knew he wasn't an actor. And the whole scene was lit like a documentary. It just felt so out of place. I liked the story he told and how it worked into the overall movie, but why couldn't they just cast an actor to do the job and light it like the rest of the movie? The way they did it just didn't work for me. And that rock song that kept cutting in from time to time didn't fit either. The first time they did that, I didn't know what was happening. That scene felt so off. And I guess that brings us to the end, where he cuts in footage from race-related actual events in 2017, protests and rallies, that kind of thing. You know, just to hammer it home in case you didn't get the memo that racism is bad. And I don't see what his point was, unless he's saying things are worse now than ever, which just isn't true, and I don't see how anyone could argue otherwise. But that's Spike Lee for you, hitting you over the head with political agendas once again. So he chose to end the movie on a really bum note, for no apparent reason. Like anyone watching a Spike Lee movie titled BlacKkKlansman is likely to be unaware or unsympathetic towards racial issues. I've also never been a fan of splicing documentary-style footage into fictional movies. I didn't like it when Spielberg did it, and I don't like it when Spike Lee does it. The footage also seemed very loosely connected to the events of the movie itself. If you want to make a statement about the racial issues in today's society, make a movie about that, or make a documentary about it. Don't shoehorn it into the end of the movie set in the 70s. That has very little to do with today's events. And it's a real shame he had to do that, because it left a real sour taste in my mouth. I liked the movie a lot. It was a little bit too long and it dragged a little, but for the most part it was a very well made, entertaining, funny movie. And then he just couldn't help himself. He felt like he had to punish the audience who came to see the movie. Would I recommend it? Yeah, it's a good movie. I just wish Spike Lee would look up the word subtlety and maybe apply it to his next film. So go watch it. Or don't. I am not your dad.